Good afternoon, all. I want to say you're welcome today to Family Meeting. Our subject today is about our cultural values and how we perceive them. And the discussion today is based on what is actually trending online with respect to an address by a young lady who called Mr. Tony Elumedu by his first name, Tony. The short video insert gives context to our discussion today. Just watch it briefly as we come into our conversation. Thank you.
Good morning, Tony.
Tony.
I said good morning, Tony.
Okay, no, you won't call me Tony. I'm not those people. You call me Miss Elumelu or Tioyi. You won't call me Tony or Chairman. I don't subscribe to that kind of Weibo life, okay? All right.
Good morning, Mr. Elumedu.
Thank
so my
you.
question is...
Please, just get into my own analysis. Don't go off this channel. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to Family Meeting, and this afternoon I just felt like having to add my voice to the conversation that is trending online, more so because it has to do with our family values, it has to do with our culture, like bringing that discussion to bear, particularly on this channel. Let me start off this afternoon by asking a question, and I just hope you answer me sincerely from your heart without any bias. And the question is this: based on the scenario I want us to address, don't call me Tony. That phrase or that word, do we say is a double standard, or do we say is corporate etiquette versus our African, particularly in this situation, our Nigerian culture? What is it? Now that is my question, and then let me lay some kind of context or background, or rather I would say geographical scenario to all of this. Everybody's making their input. In this channel, let's just analyze it a little. Now, the same scenario, the same address with the first name Tony has also been dug up from an interview that also held a couple of years ago, this time from a young Nigerian. I think her name is Chioma Obi-Okoye, and this time is a Stanford graduate or student or staff, addressing the same Mr. Tony Elumelu with his first name Tony, and she did not get the same kind of rebuke that this young Nigerian lady here in Nigeria got as a rebuke.
Hi Tony, it's so great to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to meet you.
You are one of the most celebrated and most decorated business leaders in Africa, and I would posit the world. So it's truly an honor to be able to host you at Stanford this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
So now this is the confusion. This is the question. Is the lady right or is the lady wrong? Everybody have their say and everybody's been saying stuffs. This is my take. And we just have to be careful in how we raise our children and generation so that we also don't get them confused. I want to appreciate something about what Mr. Tony said. That's also part of the confusion. Will it now be really double standard? Why do I say so? In that situation, he said something like, this is not Oyibo. I'm not that kind of Oyibo. Now that is the confusion. Let me digress. Thank God for his grace and mercy and the way he's helping us to raise our children to the best of the capacity and the ability that we can. It has happened twice. One with an uncle, a family member who is my son's uncle, and another one, a family friend. The way I'm raising our son, I'm like, the culture of respect. Sir, ma'am, let it flow. Let it be natural with you. And because of the context and the geography where he's also being raised, is a challenge for him, but he's learning that from the home front. And so he greeted this man once and said, good afternoon, sir. His uncle, good afternoon, sir. And a different instance, they both said to him, just say good afternoon, don't add sir. But I was quick to come in to say, please young man, greet them with sir, and let it be a culture for you so that when you visit back home, when you relate with people, it becomes natural with you. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Mr. Tony, Mrs. Clara, or as the case may be, whatever the name, it becomes nature to them and not alien, because we are in the West and then we think we can raise our children to just flow with the flow here. Let's always put the caveat, let's put that context. And as a matter of fact, if a child in this culture says to anyone sir or ma'am, or addresses them by Mr. or Miss or Mrs. as the case may be, it doesn't close the door on them. Whoever will receive it will receive it, whoever will not receive it will not receive it. It's just what it is. But the child grows up in that understanding and knows that, okay, this is how to flow with getting to address address people. It's better that way for me, because you raise a child here and he's addressing people by first name, and he comes home, he comes addressing people with the first name. He doesn't know why the door is closed against him, because people will see him as disrespectful. Unknown to him that the culture is coming from, the culture where he was raised, accepts it. But back in this culture, it's not being accepted. So I corrected even this uncle and this family friend in the presence of my son right there and then. Greet with sir, greet and address with ma'am. Prefix their first name with Mr. or Mrs. is safer for you. That way you are neutral. As a matter of fact, here in the US, I haven't lived in the Midwest, I haven't lived in the East Coast, and I haven't lived in the South. I can tell you that the culture is also different. In the East Coast, it's just easy, you just flow with people, just calling them their name and moving on. But in the culture of here in the South, it's easier to hear someone addresses you as sir and ma'am, because that is the culture. So there's even that confusion here in the West. Talk more of when you are back home, where we grew up in a culture of demanding respect and needing respect and wanting to be given respect. So we should not confuse these young ones, because it puts them in confusion. They don't even know any better. Having said that, Mr. Tony Elumelu, with all due respect, went on to say, I don't subscribe to that Oyibo life, which means this is our culture. I will expect you as a lady, for instance, to know how to address an older person, an elder. Therefore, it behoves the young person to be able to greet right and address right and say it right. But you see, is it a double standard? That is a confusion. Because in the training school and in every of those corporate environments, I can tell you for one, because I was there as it were. I worked as an intern in GTB Enugu. I worked for about 6 months, and I also was like in another internship program, the same GTB Port Harcourt, for about a year before youth service. Okay, and so I understand they want you in the office context to call them by first name. Is a structure. Mr. Tayo Aderyoko of blessed memory will come in that office space to say people should call them by first name. Yes, you call them by first name, but it was difficult for me. I'd rather go, I said to my boss, Mr. Shegun, Mrs. Joyce, or Auntie Joyce. They want you to call them by their first name, but go ahead and call them by their first name, and you see some doors closed against you when it matters, because you'll be seen as being disrespectful. But that is the place of the double standard. Okay, now, someone in the UK, in Stanford, or wherever it is overseas in the West, addressed you as Mr. Tony, and it was okay. But addressing you as Mr. Tony in Nigeria is not okay. Are we not confusing these young ones? Please, young people, our culture demands respect. Like it or hate it, that is what it is. So when you come in those spaces where you have African parents, where you have a Nigerian parents, where you have a Nigerian people, more so people who are older than you in age and in the hierarchy of office, please address with the sir, address with the ma'am. It doesn't take anything from you, okay? And so a Mr. Tony will be preferred. That's the place of having our own kind of common sense to be able to decipher. Now, that same young lady, if you were somewhere in the West, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in the UK, or anywhere, you address your CEO or whatever as first name. That's even what they will demand. So sense and wisdom should prevail. Common sense, akoluche, ogbon, it calls for somebody having that wisdom and be able to flow in that regard. I mean, it will be disrespectful for me, both for my age and for what I know, to come in a certain space today and I see our president and I go and say Bola or Tinubu, for crying out loud. People can sit in the social media space in the comfort of your home because you can afford data and do all that. It is wrong. The very least is Mr. President. Otherwise, Your Excellency, sir, or in full, Sir Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. If you address him that way, there's already a reception, okay? So in all of this being trendy or young or something, please, our values, even as it's been communicated by our parents, should hold sway. We should not throw it away. It's just what it is. Please, let's not confuse our young people. And our young people, please, trade with caution, trade with wisdom. It's better that way. You don't just come and just call your father with the first name and all that. It exists in the West. It's a life in the West, but it's not acceptable in our culture. And we should know that. And we should write in that context with wisdom. The man already told you he cannot accept that in this Oyibo culture. He accepted it in the Oyibo culture, but did he accept it in Nigeria scenario? So we also have to be careful not to play to double standard. We don't always have to flow with what is available around. Let's know who we are. Let's identify ourselves with ourselves. Maybe that will make me just share this one story. I was flying once from Newark International Airport. I think I was traveling to Ohio, I think. And so we're all on the queue, being processed at the security point. And so it got to my turn. I brought out my ID card, gave it to the lady in front of the machine. But before then I said, "Hello, ma'am, good day," and I handed over my ID card. She didn't say a thing. She just acted like somebody who didn't hear me. But I didn't mind. She took my card, my driver's license, passed it through the machine, processed it, and handed it back to me. And as I was walking past by her side to the machine to go and pass my hand luggage through the machine, as she gave me back my ID card, I said to her, I said, thank you. It was at that point she paused. So it's like, okay, she had me even the first time when I said, hello ma'am, how are you? Something like that, before handing over my ID card. The first question she asked was, are you from here? I said, how do you mean? She said, you're not from here. I said, well, I don't know what you mean. She said, because it's not in our nature to say hello to someone or say good afternoon, someone you're meeting on the desk, and to even receive back your ID card to say thank you. She said something else that was interesting. I don't know how many hours she has worked for her shift. She said, I'm the first person who is saying hello to her, good evening, who is saying thank you to her for all as long as she was sitting there. The truth is this, if there was a favor, for instance, I needed, she'll be more inclined to maybe listen to me, maybe based on her disposition. So young people, I beg you all, our culture is ingrained in the demand, as it were, of respect. Our value system is just what it is. And when you go everywhere else, you can act in that same space based on what is obtainable there. But I also want to tell you, the values we've been taught at home, as we expect it everywhere, it doesn't hurt. It rather opens door than closes door. So let's be wise. Hello sir, hello ma'am, good morning ma'am, good morning sir. Is our culture, it's just what it is. It's heavily demanded and it's heavily demanded, but that is just what it is. And so that is my take in that. I'm happy the young lady took the correction and gracefully still went on asking a question. We can accept certain standards back home and we can accept some other kind of standards as it is, geographically speaking, elsewhere. That is just this tidbit for today. Let's continue to just raise the standard and raise our homes and raise our families and instruct our children as we can. May God help us and grant us wisdom. Thanks for being here today. And I want to say welcome to family meeting. Thank you.